We'll start with our Economic Development Committee, Commissioner Lane Lynchard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have two items. The first is recommend allocation of $80,000 in TDC funds for sponsorship of 6th Annual Navarre Beach Sand Sculpting Festival, September 25th through 27th, 2015, including the week of September 20th through 27th for assembly and disassembly. We discussed this on Monday, the importance of this event to our shoulder season. We've all received several emails during this week, so I'll open it up for discussion to the board now. Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, we did receive several emails, and I feel like, we should, since we did, we should discuss this a little further. One email I was concerned with was the person's, and I won't name who it is, but they're basically a lack of understanding of funding. Seemed like their concern was that the funds could be used in another area for something better, and I think from their from what they talk like, perhaps roads or something like that. And I'd just like to remind everybody that these funds are tourist development money funds that we're using and have to go for such, and clarify that. Some other funds were, comments were that, it should support itself. It should be done by the businesses out there, but I'd like to remind everybody how big an event this is, but I would have a caveat I feel like we should put on the $80,000, and that's that it can be used up to $80,000, but everything should show a receipt and be itemized and backed up with a receipt for that funding, just not an open checkbook for $80,000. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Williamson. Rob Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to say that the time that I've had to work with Julie Morgan, our tourist development director, I've been very impressed by the way she goes about her business. Very dynamic leader. She has some great ideas, and I think we're really going to see her help take our tourism to the next level, and I have complete confidence in her. I think what we're seeing here, just a quick recommendation would be, as it relates to the budget, something I've noticed is that every month we come back and we have a different recommendation for funding each and every month. Instead of mirroring what Okaloosa County has done, which I think is a pretty good idea and something that maybe we'd want to take a look at, where they have an open enrollment period. And what they do is they ask anyone who would want to have a grant or sponsorship or would want to have any bed tax collections, any type of revenues for an event they would be looking to bring to Okaloosa County, they have a specific time period where they're allowed to bring those forward. And they submit their application. And then the Tourist Development Council, they meet together, and when they're putting forth their budget, all of the items for the year are part of that budget. And what that does is it makes it to where you don't have to have a meeting of the TDC to recommend each individual event every month, and then that recommendation comes to us and we have to decide on it. It's part of the budget. And really, from a statute standpoint in the state of Florida, that's really what they ask for. And from a Santa Rosa County ordinance standpoint, the TDC is supposed to be creating that plan for us. And maybe this is a great time for us to look at that transition. Julie, I don't know if you'd want to come up and speak to that. And then the last thing I'd like to suggest, I had a chance to talk to Julie about this event specifically. And we do think that based on the numbers we have, that it's a good event. But given the public comment that Commissioner Cole has mentioned and Vice Chairman Lynchard, I'd like to ask the board if I could work with Julie for the next couple of weeks. I believe you may have even had an opportunity to set up a meeting with one of the vendors, and let us drill down a little bit deeper on this event, look a little bit closer at the 5-year historicals, and then report back to the board on a very in-depth scrubbing of this event. And I'd just like to ask if we could maybe postpone this decision to the next county commission meeting to allow us the opportunity to report back to the board in greater detail. Thank you.
Any other members of the board want to say anything? And I'll go to Julie after that. Commissioner J. R. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would postponing this event a few weeks or to the next board meeting, would that cause any problem as far as delays? I know that we're out in front of this pretty good. I just want to make sure that that's not going to do anything to compromise the event to wait till the next meeting.
I've spoken with the sand lovers out of Fort Myers this morning, and I've explained that there's a possibility that I would like to look at this just a little bit closer with the county commissioner, and at this time, I do not see a problem with that.
Well, I certainly think that that's a good idea. There's no sense in rushing it. But I also wanted to state that even though we've had some opposition on emails, we've also had some support as well. And so there are people that enjoy this event, like this event. It's shown that it brings people into the community and probably brings in more money than we're spending from a revenue standpoint. But those are things that Commissioner Williamson, the other Commissioner Williamson, and Julie can look at. And I did want to say, I've told you this personally, but publicly, I met with the governor's office whenever I went over to Tallahassee for FAC stuff, and then had a call back from the head of Visit Florida, and he said the relationship with Santa Rosa County over the last 3 to 4 months has been as good as it's ever been, and he's looking forward. He's already seen so much of what Julie's doing with that connection with Tallahassee, and for us to keep using them as a resource, and that this is the best relationship we've had. So thank you, Julie, for hitting the ground running since we hired you last year.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner.
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, just wanted to say briefly that I know all the members of this board take the fiduciary responsibility that we have very seriously. And yes, Commissioner Cole, you're correct that there may be a little bit of a misunderstanding between are these ad valorem tax dollars or are they bed tax dollars that come from visitors, maybe not necessarily from locals, but we all still want to make sure that whether they're bed tax dollars or ad valorem dollars, that we are maximizing our return on investment and that we're scrutinizing every dollar that we put forward. So I appreciate the opportunity or the consideration to allow us to do that.
And Julie, do you have anything you want to add?
I believe that this has been a great event for us. I look forward to looking at this real closely, as we already have, but just, deeper, as Commissioner Williamson spoke about, and being able to come back to this board very soon with our recommendation.
Okay.
And thank you.
And as long as it doesn't hamper the ability of the event to move forward, I don't have a problem with holding off on a couple of weeks while we decide. This event started out small, relatively small, and it's continued to grow every year, attracted 20,000 plus visitors last year. And if you look at the events that we have and our neighboring counties have to draw people down to an event, they grow over time. The Thursday night concerts down in Navarre, Bands on the Beach at Pensacola Beach has just gotten huge. It draws a tremendous amount of people every Tuesday night during the summer. So this will continue to do that. And it builds that shoulder season that we really, really do need to focus on. Our summers, we don't have to worry about attracting tourists in the summertime. Right. They're already coming. Right. But March, April, seasons, May, and then you get back over into September, October. The thing that we have been doing good is working on those shoulder seasons. You look at the Tough Mudder event that was in March. We've never had a March like that in Santa Rosa County in terms of drawing people from outside of the area into our county. So I think we need to continue to focus on that. That's where we're going to see our growth. So. But I don't have an issue with tabling it for a couple of weeks, and we'll come back and discuss it then.
Do you need that in the form of a motion? I
will. Is there anyone else from the public who wanted to address this? Okay. If not, then I can move to table this for. Okay. Well, should we table it or just
to the May 11th meeting? Is that okay?
Move to table this to the May 11th meeting without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
And we do have some of our tourism partners here today and some of our tourist development council advisory board members here, and it's a team effort. Just want to say thank you for all the work you've done to help us continue to grow Santa Rosa County tourism.
All right, item number